Hello everyone and welcome back to the Little Quilter. Today we're going to be continuing work on the Roxie Blazer. As you may have noticed, I decided to split this Roxie Blazer up into another video. I had not accomplished as much as I had hoped to when I wanted to release the video, and I also had filmed a lot of content on making this blazer for my little girl, and hopefully I'm going to make a second one for me so we can have a matching set based on the idea from that Pinterest photo that I showed in the last one. So the Roxie Blazer, I'll link that for if you guys want to make this for your own little kiddo in your life, or if you're just looking for ideas for things to make. I think it looks really, really cute. Where I am at right now is I need to make the sleeves for the blazer, and then also attach the sleeves for the lining. So let's jump into that. Okay, everybody, we went ahead and we're back at it. I have gone ahead and got both of the outer jacket side panels on with the pockets done. I do feel like my first pocket was the best pocket, but I think they, at the end of the day, look pretty good. Here is one of those. See, you can't even really tell that it's there until I kind of pull it apart. There's that pocket. And then on this side, we've got that pocket right there. So that's pretty cool. I did go ahead and so I serged these, but I serged them individually along the shoulders because you want them to lay really nice and flat. Along the edges, I did those together, and the pockets are together because, well, it just doesn't matter, right? So now we're going to set that aside, and it is time to do sleeves. So I've gone ahead, and with the sleeves, I have pinned all of these all the way down, and we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam all the way down the sleeve. And down here at the end, we have our interfacing that we put on there just to help with that rollback of the cuff. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so we have got the sleeves done and pressed so that they are now, well, now they're sleeves. And we've got to flip these inside out so that the right side is facing out. And then we're going to leave the jacket wrong side facing out. And we're going to put these in here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so we're pinning on the sleeve here. And I'm hoping I'm doing this right. I am having to kind of fiddle, but I think sleeves are fiddly things. So basically I'm trying to kind of just press this out so that it looks flat as it can be, I suppose. I mean, no, I do worry that it's going to be kind of ruffled. So, but I matched up sort of the top seams, not the top seams, excuse me. I matched up the bottom seams. So I had the side seam coming up and then the bottom seam of the sleeve that I matched those together, and then kind of went straight across, matched up this guy up here, and now I'm just kind of pinning along these edges here to make sure that we get these sides of the actual sleeve pinned into place properly so that whenever I sew it, I don't mess things up. I do feel like this front part is going a lot better than the back part, which I guess if I have to choose a side to not go well, then that would be a good side because this is where you're going to see it. pins is too many pins? How many pins is not enough pins? That might be another question. Now, to sew this, I don't know if I need to, I think I can remove the table on the CS7000X so that it's not so wide, and that way we can sort of lay it out better. Let me see if I can fix this part up here. It seems just a little bit more wrinkly to me. Maybe that's just the way this is wanting to lay, which I don't like. I don't want it to lay that way. All right. First seam, side seam, I'll give you guys this. See, there's a little bit of a wrinkliness to it, but I think once we kind of stretch it out a little bit, straighten it out a little, I think we'll be okay. Re-pin this right here. Okay, I think we'll be okay. I think it'll be all right. I think the rest of them don't look too shabby, so not too bad. And okay, let's sew this. Okay, you can see I've gone ahead and removed the little table that was there. I don't know if there's a right area to start or a wrong area to start, but I'm going to start down here on this. And I guess if you had a bigger arm, will that fit? Okay, definitely won't fit. If you had a bigger armhole, I bet that would fit, but we're dealing with a tiny little baby arm, so that's not going to fit. So this is going to be fun. Oh, I'm nervous about this. Okay. Just to make sure that we don't sew over what we've already done. Now it's already set up. My guide is set up to 1/2 inch. My needle is centered. I've got my 2.5 inch stitch length. We're doing the number 1. That's where the needle gets centered. So, all right, let's do some sewing. Okay, that was super fiddly. Pins were falling out left and right. I mean, I'm almost like, why did I even pin? Because they did not want to stay in there at all. So, however, I mean, there's one little tuck. I may have to unpick that and re-sew that. I can see it right here. Do you see that little tuck there? And that is gonna just bother me, especially because the rest of these aren't that bad. Yeah, no other spots. Okay, maybe we fix that. I think it got sort of moved because that line of stitching is, instead of going straight across here, it kind of went, oops, sorry, kind of went down and then over. So I'm sure it was whenever I was trying to move things around that happened. So we're going to just pull out a few of these stitches just to lay that flat again. Dare we unfurl it? We're going to do it. Okay. Here. Oh my goodness. Oh, permanently. Okay, we'll have to cut that. That's okay. That should have been stuck in there as well, but it did not. But we can cut that little piece of thread, and that is fine. Okay, I don't think that is too shabby right there. Look at that. Look at that little arm. Oh my gosh. Isn't that cute as a button? Okay. Whoa, okay. No. Look at that lineup. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is so good. I mean, that's just sheer dumb luck, I would say, but wow. Look at that. That's perfect. Oh, love it. And it's right on the front too, so it's the front of the jacket, so that's pretty sweet. Man, and on the back, okay. I'm super excited. Okay, well, now I'm almost kind of sad that I did that because I feel pressure that it lines up the same way for the next one, and hopefully it does. So let me work on that. And then our little pockets right here. Oh, it's gonna be so cute. Okay, all right. Let's do the other armhole here. See if we can get that sewn on. So again, wrong side out. We're gonna take our armhole here and go ahead and flip it right side out. Then we're gonna take this and you're actually basically gonna put it into, so right sides together on the inside of the jacket. Stick your hand through the armhole, inside of the jacket, pull it through, and then when you start matching this up, you're going to want to match the bottom seam here, which is going to be pushing towards the back of the jacket, to the seam on the sleeve. And then you're just going to pin around. I think this time I might try some clips. I don't know if they're going to be better, but the pins were falling out, so I have the clips. Let's see if the clips hold. Okay, so moment of truth here. I do think using the clips was easier. I certainly don't think they were as pokey as the needles were, so a little bit easier to maneuver. They are wider too, so I don't feel like I put as many. So let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, it's not terrible. I mean, I don't mean like it would be terrible, but look, okay, it's lining up. I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. That is great. So both sides. Look at this cute little jacket. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ah, that is super exciting. And again, just those cute little pockets on there with that cute little peak of flowers. Oh my goodness. Okay. What do you think? I think we're doing good here. All right. So the next part that we've got to do, I believe, is the collar. Putting the collar on to this little bad boy so that we don't have, just a super weird unfinished neckle issue happening here. So, yeah, boy, we're making progress. Like, we've actually made something here. That's so cool. Okay, all right, let's work on that. Okay, so like I said, we've got this finished. I went ahead and sewed the the lining for the blazer together. So here is one sleeve and here is the other sleeve. I would say that sewing this guy together was a lot harder than this one. And I don't know if that sort of angled part that comes up for the shoulder, right, that comes up, it seemed a lot bigger on this one than it did on the other one. Okay, and so then once I had the armholes attached, I went ahead and serged those seams, just the armholes, on the rayon lining fabric here so that they won't fray. I did not serge the ones on the jacket. So these I am leaving unserged, and that way we can you don't get any wrinkles or anything right there along that sleeve line. It'll lay nice and flat. We can iron it whichever way we need to iron it, and we don't have to deal with that extra bulk that the serge adds. All right, the next step in this guy is going to be doing the collar. So I've got this piece for the collar, and I need to grab the other piece for the collar so that we can do that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we have our antique fabric and our rayon lining, and we have the interfacing here on the rayon lining. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these and match them up right sides together, which will probably be a little bit harder than we'd like it to because of this very nice little angle here that we have. We're going to pin this into place. And then we're going to sew along this outer edge all the way around. Okay, not sure if I've done this completely right on here, but I have gone ahead and stitched all the way around this. Technically, I wasn't supposed to go here, but I wanted to make sure I had the right sort of length on either edge here, so I did stitch just a little bit here. And then the plan is to turn it inside out. Now, the reason I did this small stitching is originally it told me to do like a 1/2 inch seam, and I just don't think that would have worked. Like, I don't think that that would have worked at all. Because, I mean, 1/2 inch seam would have been more than this width right here. So, I don't know if it's right, but this is what we're going with here. Okay, so we've got the collar basted down here, and we're going to go ahead and do the lining. I am starting to wonder if these pockets are too long, so I may have to sort of cut into this here and stitch another line here, which, I mean, it'll be fine at the end of the day, but I just need to make sure that that's the case before we get, I just think that's going to be too long. So I may go ahead and do that as well and just shorten these up a little bit because, I don't know, I just am worried that they are going to be too long and we don't want the pockets sticking out. And maybe they don't hang like that, but I don't know. It just seems like a risk not worth taking because I'm pretty sure it'll be a pain in the butt to do once the lining is in there. Okay, so for this part, now that this is all pinned down here, we're going to stitch a basting stitch just 1/4 of an inch away, all the way around the edges here to just keep this in place. This is not going to be the final stitching for it. And on this machine, we're going to be doing the number 1, so this stitch with a 4-inch, well, a 4 millimeter length stitch. So it's just a basting, and we are doing with the Superior Threads blue thread. Okay, everybody, I feel like we're in the home stretch here. We're probably definitely not in the home stretch. That's always how I feel when I get near a project. I can like see the horizon of the finish line and I feel like, oh, I'm just so close, but really there's like, 10 more miles to go, it seems like. So what we've done here is I have pinned, into get that. So I have basted the collar on, which actually that looks pretty good for the collar. This is the back of the jacket. And then we've got the front here. So I basted the collar on. I did go ahead and trim up the pockets. So I cut those, I don't know, I didn't actually measure how much I cut those, but I did cut them shorter so that we still have a nice deep pocket, but hopefully it's not going to peek out from under the seams here if that's, I don't even know if that's possible for it to do, but just in case, we don't want it sort of weighing everything down. So I did that. Now that this is all on there, the next part is to put the rayon lining in, which just seems crazy. So, but whoa, okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to try and pin this in there. Have no idea how to do this. So, let's see what happens. Right, you guys, I have got another, essentially another porcupine here. So what I've done is pinned around the entire perimeter of the jacket, from the lapel all the way down to the hem. I have not done anything with the sleeves. So I put the antique fabric right side up and the rayon lining right side down so that the right sides are together, and we're going to sew all the way around the edge, and we're going to do that with a 1/2 inch seam, 2.5 millimeter stitch length, and then we'll be ready to move on to, then we'll have the lining attached to the jacket. Oh my gosh, that is just crazy. Okay, let's get this done. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. Okay, I still have to do the sleeves, so it does look a bit like a octopus, or like the jacket's trying to walk itself, but look at this. And I'm so, like, it actually looks like a jacket. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's not crazy, but it is crazy. And this lapel, okay, I was very concerned because whenever I was putting this on, I really was unsure about this. And guys, it looks so good. The attachment and everything. Also, I love how the lines matched up here. And then these, again, the little pockets on the side. Now, I've got to do some sort of like going through here at the end to sort of get the hemline straightened out. But also, the hat looks really good and turned out really nicely as well. Look at that. I'm just so excited by this. Like, it's actually a jacket. It's not like I made something that is an actual thing. This really just boosts my spirits so much because I just feel like, you know, I've been struggling a little bit with the quilted robe for different reasons, and obviously it's a whole different project and way bigger scope. So, you know, for somebody who's never sewn anything in their life, definitely completely understandable why that would be hard. But it is nice to take a moment and sew something that, I mean, this came together actually pretty fast, in all honesty. In the time frame that I have had to make this has really come together, and I just think it looks so cute. Now, obviously, I'm not done. I've still got to do my arms, and I've got some really cute buttons to put on it that my daughter picked out. So yeah, but overall, I'm just so excited with how this looks. I mean, it's a real morale booster to see something that I've sewn actually be something that's wearable. Now, I don't know if it's gonna fit her. I mean, I measured and I'm hopeful, but you know how kids are. Things have to fit a certain way before they like them. I'm hoping that she's gonna like it, and will enjoy wearing it, but nevertheless, I'm just excited that I've made something. And for me, you know, honestly, that's what's most exciting. So let's keep going. Maybe I can. I'm not going to say I'm going to finish this tonight. That's silliness. I know I won't finish it tonight, but it does make me excited to make my own because I think that this blazer looks really cool. I'm sorry, I keep just looking at it because it just makes me so happy and warm inside. Okay, I've got to figure out what I got to do for the sleeves so we can get that done. Okay, so a little update here. I did sort of change a little things. I did not put the sleeves in right away. I sort of unfolded everything, which loved how it looked. But I decided before I sewed these sleeves together, I wanted her to try this jacket on because I was a little bit concerned about the width of the sleeve. And since I had done a 1/2 inch seam, I definitely had room to adjust that if needed. And basically, I ended up doing it. She thought it was a little bit too tight. So, since I went through and basically unpicked all of the seams of both the lining and the antique fabric itself, I was then able to do the sleeve cuffs after I was done very easily, and I just lined them up and pin them together so that we'll flip those around and they'll be the way they're supposed to, hopefully. This was kind of a pain to do with pins. I definitely thought I was going to break my sewing machine with the pins because as you're like turning it. So one I did with pins. The next one, really, I tried to do with clips and I ended up just taking out all the clips and kind of holding it and just going slowly around the edges of it rather than dealing with clips and pins because by the time I had finagled it, it really just didn't seem like they were holding anything at all together. So maybe that's wrong, but let's go ahead and see if we can flip this guy inside out. So I think this will be, I gotta remember which one is my right hand. No, I think it's this one is the one that has the hole in it. So if we pull this guy out, yeah, there it is. So this is the one that has that hole in it that we're now going to try and flip the whole jacket through, which seems kind of scary. Makes me really happy that I serged those edges. Actually, once you get it kind of going, it really comes pretty nice and easy. It's really crazy how it just eats itself and spits itself out the right side. Honestly, I don't even know. I'm just kind of shoving it through. Okay. Now I have this jumbled mess. Okay, there's a pocket. So let's pull this out. Ooh, here is a sleeve. Okay, there's a little bit of thread where I had undid that. So let me pull that out. Okay, so there's my sleeve. So that looks pretty nice. I did make sure, the one thing I do think is important is trying to match up those seams of each one as best that you can. Okay, let's go over to this side. Pull that guy out. Okay. Yeah, and I've got a little bit of thread just from where I had unpicked those kind of sitting here to be pulled off. So that's okay though. Okay. We can use a little bit of a press, but that will be one of the final things I do. Now we're just gonna pull all of this out. along the edges, and I think it looks okay, actually. Oh, here we go. Oh no, what have I done? Okay, wait, is this wrong? Oh, yeah, this is wrong. I was so, I was worried that might be the case. Um, yeah, I thought that might not be right. So, okay, let's push it back through and unpick those seams. I really did wonder about that, but that does not seem like it's gonna be. That's not right. Okay, let me try this again. Okay, well, these sleeves have been a challenge. So that was a Morbius loop of what I did before. I have attempted to correct this. I think where I messed up, or where I could have made this an easier process, would have been had I left an opening at the bottom hem and not sewed it all the way, so that I would have had an area to pull the sleeves through and work on them without having to deal with the turning sleeve. So I have done the opposite end. So I have done this sleeve right here. And I also think redoing these multiple times has not been very friendly to the rayon fabric, so I'm not sure that it may have gotten a little stretched. But I have this going on right here. So I think I have finally done it. Now this looks like it's going in on, but I have the fabric flipped under here so that the right sides are together, so that when this goes in, hopefully we have what we're supposed to have. So let's go ahead and push this on through to whatever side. I don't even know where this is supposed to go anymore. Oh my gosh, I hope I did the right thing here. Okay. I also hope I didn't like sew any pins in. Like a bit of anxiety that there's going to be a pin stuck in there. Also, what a fiddly thing is the sleeve. My gosh, that is just ridiculous. Okay, well, it's looking kind of good. Okay, there's a little thread there. Okay. I think we may have done it. I don't think my cuffs are exactly right on, but you know what? At this point, I don't care anymore. I'm just happy that I actually have a sleeve that has an end to it. Okay, there's a lot of little strings from where I did this multiple times. Okay, so, all right, not too shabby. So then when we have our flip back cuff here, okay, you know what? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. This is good. This is great. This is great. Um, thank goodness. Now, I still have another one to do, but it should be a little bit easier because it's the same side. I didn't want to, since the only area that I have to pull this through, so I should have left him down here to pull everything through, but since I didn't, I only have my sleeve where I flip everything in and out. And I was worried if I did this side and had my sleeve all together, it would make it a lot more difficult to pull through the opposite sleeve. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is put everything in here. For those of you who are looking for a sleeve tutorial, I actually have somewhat figured it out. So if you've done what I've done and you don't have a bottom hem open and all you have is where you're turning your sleeve inside out, and maybe that's on a different part of your jacket, it doesn't really matter. What I have done here is I put my sleeve through the jacket just as if I was going to be putting the jacket on, right? If you were just going to slide the jacket onto your arm. Then what we're going to do is we are going to line up our seams. So the seam of the lining to the seam of the shell. And we're going to put a little pin in it. Now, you're just going to put one pin in it. We're not putting multiple pins because this pin is essentially just a marking place. It's not staying, right? You're going to take it out. So we're going to put that pin in, right? I've got my pin in. Now what I'm going to do is again put my hand through here. I'm going to grab the ends of this and I'm going to start pulling it out. And the reason I'm going to pull it out is because then I'm going to pull it out again through this cuff. And I'm just trying to minimize the pull on that needle that's stuck in there, that pin that's stuck in there. So then we're going to come down here where our opening is. And again, we're going to go up here where the pin is and pull it out again so that we end up with this. Okay, so now you have both the wrong side of the jacket outer shell and the wrong side of the lining coming at each other end on. And it looks even more weird because I don't have this. If you were doing this through the hem, it wouldn't be so easy to twist and turn. I think this is also part of it. Now, this was basically just so we could get our stuff lined up in the right direction. What I'm going to do is take that pin out, set it aside for the moment, and then we are going to take this and essentially, there's a little string that is happening here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're going to get that stupid, silly old string out of there. We're going to take and we are going to do right sides together. So we're going to line the seam up of the right side of the jacket lining to the right side of the jacket. We are going to line up the right side of the jacket shell to the right side of the jacket lining. There we go. And we're going to do the seams first, making sure I'm doing this right. I don't know why this breaks my brain, but it really does. This really is like looking at an infinity wheel that I am supposed to sew together in some way to make a straight line. And yeah. Okay. That's what we're going to do. I think this is right. Okay, and then and so this is why when you have your hem down below, it's so much easier because you're not fighting with the rest of your sleeve, because that's what I'm doing now. You're going to take this and you're going to flip it so that you have, basically you're going to like take it, flip your thumb in, and flip it around, line up your raw edges so you have right side of fabric to right side of fabric, and essentially try to pin it in place. Again, I have had trouble with pins in doing this and almost end up usually taking the pins out. Okay, here is what we've got. Again, at 1/2 inch seam with basically right sides together and all the way around. Very, very fiddly sewing, but if you go slow, you can line everything up. I think I have one little tuck in it, but again, I am at a point where I'm just not sure I care. So I'm going to actually take, so this is the right side of the jacket here and the jacket hole. I'm going to take my hands through and we're just going to pull this all the way through that little hole. Let's see what we've got here. Oh my gosh, I may have finally done it. What a pain. Oh my gosh. See, I did not, oh, now I did a really good job lining that seam line up. Look at that. That's nice right there. Very happy with that right there. That's perfect. I've got to do some pressing on this jacket, but essentially, this is what we've got. So if you weren't going to do a buttonhole or anything else here, basically this jacket would be pretty well done, honestly. I mean, I need to do, like I said, I'm going to press this to get some nice pretty seams here. Make sure I get all the little threads off of it, but look at that. We've pretty much made a jacket, so that's pretty cool. I do, though, want to put buttons on here. And she has picked out some very specific buttons for this jacket. And there are, fortunately, a small and a big size. So whenever I do my version of this jacket, I can have the same exact buttons. I am not going to put the buttons on without her trying it on though. So I'll do some pressing tonight, but I'm not going to do that. I want her to put it on so I can see where we actually need to place the button. And then once we've done that, I can put the buttonhole on. And that is the whole reason that I got this Brother CS 7000NX machine, is because it actually has a buttonhole to use. And you can size it to the button, I think. So I'm very excited about using that, and also very nervous because, well, not that it's taken me super long to do this jacket, and also very much learning through the whole process, but you do put that on at the very end, which is kind of scary. Okay, everybody, I'm excited to say it is time to put a buttonhole onto the jacket. Now, I have already done a test buttonhole here because, well, let's be honest, I've never used the buttonhole on a machine or really any sort of automatic buttonhole maker. But honestly, it was really super easy, and I think this turned out pretty good. So here's the little buttonhole that I made. And then on this side, I have got the other part of that fabric. Now, I did do a test strip with all of the items, right? So I've got the antique fabric, the Pellin, and I have got the floral backing. So the button that we chose to use as well that she picked out, we got these on Etsy, and they were, what they said is they were from their grandmother's stash. So I do think these, if correct, are some antique buttons, but this is the button that we have got here. See if we can, I don't know that it's easy to sort of pick up on it, but it's pretty cool looking and a really neat little antique button that we're going to put on here. For this jacket on hers, I'm just going to use one. And of course, because we did rollback cuffs, we're not putting any buttons on the side. So we will just be putting this one button on there. And my little buttonholer, I think that this works perfectly. So it slips in there nice and easily, but it is a tight fit. So that's good. Now, I had her put the jacket on, and I have marked the right-hand side of the jacket where I think that button should go based on the way she was wearing it. I might put it a smidge up from there, in all honesty, just because, I think that would just be a little bit more even there. So I've made the mark with this, and now I've got to measure in and actually make the mark on the jacket of where I'm going to be placing it. And so I want to put it in 5/8 inch in from the seam. So let's mark that. Okay, so we've got our buttonhole here. Let's go ahead and lay our jacket down. So this is where we're going to be marking that. Now, when the buttonholer sews, it's going to be doing it based it's going to be sewing this button upward. So the part that we mark is going to be the lowest point of the buttonhole. So everything will be sewn above it. Okay, so I've got this, and we're going to mark it. So 5/8 inch in, each one of these little lines is an 1/8. So we just put this on the edge here. It may actually be easier to sort of tell. There we go. All right, so that would be a full inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch in is right here. I'm going to mark this with our tailor's chalk. That is where we want to go ahead and start that. I'm going to take that pin out. Okay, so we're looking at the brother front of the machine here. The buttonhole that I'm going to be using is this one right here. You can see there are several different options here that you could be using, but I'm just going to be doing this very normal sort of square one. Okay, so when you look at the buttonhole foot, this is where your machine is going to attach, and you actually are going to be sewing the buttonhole in this area right here. Okay, so the machine starts here and moves backward. this right here is a movable component, and it moves this little arm right here. This is what tells you how big your button is going to be. So if you had a really flat button, you could put it in there and squeeze it tight and it would be perfect. This button really does not want to sit in here, so it slides right out. I tried to do it this way, but it still wouldn't sit in there because of that little guy right there. So I just marked it. I did tests, and as long as you have this, it's not going to push so hard that it's moving this. So that's the good news. If your button won't sit in here, just get your measurement and then take your button out. Okay, so the last thing that I did then was to take a seam ripper, poke it into that top part, and just rip down in a controlled manner to the edge of that, or where I thought the edge should end for that buttonhole. I then did put a little bit of fray check along the edges of that. You know, obviously the buttonhole is very well cut, but I just wanted to make sure it could stand up against everything. Then that last part was just me basically sewing on a button, which I didn't show you guys because, well, it took a while because I was hand sewing, and it's kind of boring to watch. So now that I've got that buttonhole on, the jacket is officially finished. How exciting is that? And I think that it turned out really, really good. I love the little button here. I love that sort of antique style on this. I think it looks really cool. I am super excited to make my own companion jacket to this so that I will have a really cool jacket to wear as well. Maybe not right now because it's a little bit warm right now, but as we move into fall, this is going to be super cute to wear, and I will be very proud if I can make my own. Now, of course, I've also got to work on the quilted robe, and I think this was a nice little interlude for me because it just kind of bolstered my confidence really and truly, and I think it turned out super, super duper cute. So if you're interested in making a jacket like this for your own kiddo, and they have, certainly the pattern has like kiddo ages and then also tween ages as well, if you have an older little girl or possibly little boy in your life that you're wanting to make a jacket for. So check that out. I definitely will link that down below so that you guys can check out the Roxie Blazer pattern. It's a pattern that I purchased off of Etsy, and I think it turned out really, really well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little tiny series. At least I was able to complete something. I feel like I have not completed very much this year because, well, I've been working on this quilted robe. So as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, all of those YouTubey things, and we will see you guys next time on The Little Quilter, where we will be getting back into the quilted robe. Have a great day.